Good morning. It is 9 o'clock. Welcome to the challenge, which is 5 ways in 5 days. And the challenge is to help you improve your profit, to find a strategy or two that you can put in place in your business right away to get some profit in the next 5 days. So let's go over what the 5 ways are, and I'm going to go over the chart. Now, I did a video on this. I posted it in the group. You'll be able to find it in the group. As you're watching this video, if you're watching it live, please put your comments in it. Let us know where you are, what you're up to. If you're watching it on recording, that's great. Just put your comments in, what you're doing, what's the most valuable thing that you got out of this thing. But go ahead and put it in. So let me go over what the 5 ways are, and I've got them up here. So here's how it works. This is called the business chassis. Okay, the business chassis has to do with look. It's like automobiles. Manufacturers for years have used the same chassis for different automobiles. The original Porsche was built on a Volkswagen chassis. For a long time, Jaguars were built on a Ford Taurus chassis. The Audi R8 sports cars built on a Volkswagen Golf chassis. So it's a common thing. Well, all businesses are the same. All businesses are built on the same chassis. Now, all businesses are different as well, which is why you're going to want to book in for a strategy session with me. It's like epoxy glue. There's 2 pieces to the puzzle. There's 2 pieces to go together. Everybody know what epoxy glue is. You have 2 parts. And if you just have one part, it's just goo. If you put the 2 parts together, it forms a strong bond. Now, you need 2 parts. You need the generalized principles, which we're going to give you over this week in the 5 ways to profits. And then we're going to the 5 days to 5 ways challenge. Then, which is going to give you the profits. And then you're going to need to do a strategy session with me or Jason or one of my team members to actually get into the stuff that's appropriate for you. So the 5 ways in 5 days is going to give you some generalized principles, and then you're going to do it. But let me go over it real quickly. It's in another video that's in the group. Please watch the video. It's about 15 minutes long. I'm going to go over this in more detail. But first, you've got leads times your conversion rate. You're not going to convert all the leads that you get into clients, patients, customers, whatever you call them. Now, once you have enough number of clients, you're going to multiply that times an average dollar sale. They're going to buy from you more than once, hopefully. In some industries, they don't. But, like in home building, you do a lot of work with home builders and people in construction. Maybe they only buy once every 7 years. But when you multiply your clients times your average dollar sale times the number of transactions, you're going to get your revenues or sales or your income. Okay? And then you get to keep some of it, which is your margin. So you multiply times your margin, you get your profit. So let's put some numbers in there so you see. So in this particular example, I've said you've got 4,000 leads coming in the door. However you're getting them, they're coming in the door. And let's say you convert 25% of them. So multiply it by 0.25. That's going to give you 1,000 clients, customers, patients, whatever you call them. Let's say they buy $200. Okay? And let's say they buy from you twice a year. They come back twice a year. Some people come back every day. Some people come back once. But let's say on average, this is about averages, $200. So that gives us when you multiply 1,000 times 2, 200 times 2, you get $400,000 business. Okay? And let's say it's a 25% margin. It's a higher margin business. You make $100,000. So it's a very good business. You make $100,000 out of this little business that gets $4,000. Now, how do you go about improving this business? How do you go about growing this business? Well, you go about growing this business by working on how many ways? It's called 5 ways in 5 days. So 5. That 5 is the key. So, when I look at it, what are the most important numbers up here? The red ones or the blue ones? Well, it's a bit of a trick question, right? Because the red numbers are outcomes. It's an equal sign before that. It's an outcome of other things. So to have more clients, we either can get more leads or we can convert more of the leads we have. I hope you understand that. So we're going to look at the 5 ways. We're going to look at leads, conversion, average dollar sale, number of transactions, and margins through this thing. Now let's look at what happens when you increase. We're going to go after, we're going to get 10% more. And I'm going to give you tons of strategies. I'm going to give you 5 strategies in every area to increase this and get at least 10% in every area. And I'm going to show you what happens when you do that. So let's say we use some of our lead strategies, lead generation strategies, and we get 10% improvement. So we get from 4,000 to 4,400. Okay? A 10% improvement. So just a couple a day, a little bit less than a couple a day, is going to get us to 4,400. So it's pretty easy to get 2 more leads a day, right? Now we're going to get a conversion rate up 10%. Now we're not going to get it to 35%. We're going to get a 10% improvement. And I'm going into a bunch of ways to do that this week, okay? So, and then we're going to get that to 27.5%. So 4,400 times 27.5% means we get 1,210 leads. I mean clients, customers, patients, whatever you call them. Now, we're going to get our average dollar ticket. I'm going to go into some ways. I'm going to go into 5 ways to get your average dollar sale up. Now, there's 70 or 80 ways to do that, but I'm going to give you 5 key ways to do it where you can do the fastest thing possible to get your average dollar sale up. So we're going to get it from 200 to 220. We're going to get people back a little more often. I'm going to give you 5 ways later in the week on how to do that. And then we're going to look at, so we're going to get that from 2 to 2.2. So when you multiply 1210 times $220 times 2.2 transactions per period, let's say year in this case, you get to 585,640 from 400. If anybody's quick at math, you're going to know that that's a 46% improvement in revenue. Who'd like a 46% improvement in revenue? Just by doing some simple things, by getting these 4 areas up 10. Now let's take the margins. We're going to get our margins up 10% to 27.5%. Okay? So 585,640 times 27 is 161,051. And you can see that that's a 61% improvement in your profit. I don't know about you, but who'd like a $60,000 improvement in their bottom line? I would. Who would like a 61% improvement in their bottom line? I would. And I believe that you would. So those are the numbers. That's how they work. Today, now I'm going to tell you, most people start out and they think, well, I need more leads. Well, I'm going to suggest that we don't look at leads first. We're going to look at these in an order. And I'm going to show you what the order is. So today we're going to look at margins. Margins is number 1. On Tuesday, which is tomorrow, we're going to look at conversion. On Wednesday, we're going to look at average dollar sale. On Thursday, we're going to look at number of transactions. And I'm going to look at leads absolutely last. Now, why am I going to do that? Why would I look at leads last? Well, there's a lot of things you can do in these other 4 areas that are not going to require a massive investment. Leads is generally going to cost you money or time. So we're going to save that for last. Plus, there's no use putting a bunch of money into leads if you don't have a decent conversion strategy to convert those into clients. Okay? There's no use because there's no use in putting a lot of money into leads unless you have worked on your average dollar sale, your number of transactions, your margins, so that when you put a lead in, you're going to get, when you put $1 in, you're going to get more money out the back end. So that's the 5 ways overview real quick. I did it quickly. If you want more on it, check out the video that I left in the thing. Plus, we'll put this video up there. So let me go over 5 top margins. Now, it's not all the margin strategies we have. In fact, we have 73. I'm sorry, that's the leads. Our margin strategies is 67, and that's not even all of them. There are many, many more that you could come up with on your own. Because one of the things I say is, when you go out to a restaurant, when you go to frequent any other business, when you go to your hardware store, look around. Understand what they've got going on. Figure out what's working for them. Figure out what's not working in them. What would you do differently? And then you may be able to apply that same lesson into your business. It's one of the reasons I like working with numbers of different kinds of businesses. I love working with people that are committed to growing their businesses. So I hope that you will take these lessons, take what you learn by looking and listening and using your senses out in the marketplace to do it. So today we're going to talk about margins. We're going to add some money to your bottom line, and some of these things you can do right now. So my number one margin strategy for improving your margins, my number one margin strategy is to increase your prices, to do a price rise. Right now, we've got, for some of you, it's the first time you've ever seen inflation. We've got a lot of inflation. Things are costing more, about 7-8% more per year. If you're not keeping up with that, you're going backwards. But we want to get ahead of that. So how do you do a price rise? Well, you do it selectively. You test and measure. You figure out the things that potentially no one knows. I used to be in the automotive business. I had a shop and a retail store. We sold tires, a bunch of other things, tools. It was kind of a large store. Anyway, look, what we realized was that a brake job would cost, let's say a brake job was $175. Now, you don't want to pay for a brake job. I'm sorry, you don't want to do it. If you're like me, you don't really enjoy paying to have your car repaired. Now, you need to, and so you do it. Now, if I told you that brake job was $175 or $190 or $195, you're still not going to like it. But it is what it is, and you can make another $15 or $20. So there's a lot of things you can go up on a price, and you're not going to get any pushback. You're just not going to from your regular customers. So, and the cool thing about a price increase is, and it's going to be our number one strategy in average dollar sale too, just to give you a hint when we get around to it on average dollar sale, will be Wednesday. It's going to be our number one. We'll probably give you a bonus one on that day since we've already get it. So what you do is you selectively raise prices. If there's something that everybody knows the price on, you may not go up, like milk. Everybody knows what milk is. They're still going to buy it, but they know what milk and bread is costing them. So there may be some pushback there, but my experience has been that you can pretty much raise your prices. Now, it's better to raise them slowly than it is to just come out and do not raise them for 5 years and then come out and do a 29% raise. You want to raise them a percentage every so often so that people have time to get it. So that's my number one strategy: increase your prices. If you want more on how to do that, reach out to me. We'll talk about that in our strategy session. My number two strategy is no discounting. Now, when I owned in my businesses that I own, I'm a nice guy. I think I'm a nice guy. Sometimes people come to me and say, "Hey, man, can you do any better?" Well, and I used to say, "Sure, I can cut 10% off of that." But what I realized was I was shooting myself in the foot. If you want to get more on that, go to my YouTube channel and look up margin versus markup, and you will find out how you're shooting yourself in the foot if you're discounting. So my people never did it. The people that worked for me, they weren't allowed to discount. They never discounted. We made more money when they sold stuff. It was bad. I needed to get myself out of the business so that I didn't shoot myself in the foot. So set a policy that you're not discounting. We're not discounting, okay? Add value instead. Give them something else. Add value. Do an add-on. Give them something additional rather than discounting if you need to get somebody over the line. My number three strategy: number one, increase prices. Number two, no discounting. Number three, sack your C and D clients. So what I want you to do is to go out and rate every single client you have. A's are your extraordinary, ideal clients. B's are very, very good clients. They're the bulk of you. You're probably only going to have 20% A's, about 80% B's. Your C's are hard to deal with. We call it can't deal with. Those are the people who want to string you out, don't want to pay you on time, are always a hassle, take a lot of time. And the D's are probably just not even able to deal with. So if you get rid of those D grade clients, just fire them. If you get rid of those C grade clients or promote them to B's, the way you do that, by the way, is pretty simple. I'm going to give you the strategy on that. You write them a letter and you say, "Hey, look, here's our new policy. We'd love to continue having you as a client. if you can abide by these rules, we would, pay us on time, that sort of thing. We would love to have you stay as a client. If you can't, I can recommend some other people that you can go to if you don't really like our rules. So get rid of the C's and D's, and what that does is it frees up all kinds of your time and your team's time. They're not running around doing this, and they can do a better job working with your B and A grade clients, which will make you more money and create a higher margin, because trust me, your C's and D's are dragging your margin into the thing. So sack your C's and D's. My number 4 strategy is measure everything. How can you improve anything if you're not measuring everything? So what are your key numbers that you're measuring every day? And I'm not talking about, there's some that you should be measuring daily, some that you should be measuring weekly, some that you should be measuring monthly, and some quarterly, and some yearly. But those daily numbers, what are those daily numbers that you should be measuring? At the very least, you should be measuring leads, conversion, average dollar sale, number of transactions, repeat business, and profit. Okay, there's probably a bunch of other stuff you should be measuring as well. But the truth is, as you begin to measure that stuff, you will figure out that there are some areas where you can come back and improve your margins. And that leads me to my number 5 strategy, which is to cut expenses by 10%. If you go through the things. Now, I don't know about you, but when the pandemic hit, I started looking at all my bills. Had plenty of time, and I found that there were a lot of things that were recurring, like recurring software purchases, and some of them I was not even using. We'd get a bill for $140 a year, for $1,000 a year, something like that. I cut them all out, saved a ton of money. So what are some things that you could cut out, that you could lower in your if you looked at your expenses? So if you're measuring everything, if you're getting good reports, you're going to know what those things are. So a couple of areas to look at that I find are pretty ways. So I've already mentioned recurring billing items. Look at those strongly, because they just show up. You've signed up for some sort of repeating thing. They make you opt out. You need to opt out, or they're going to bill you for those things. Another place to look is at your insurances. A lot of insurances can be shop. They just roll around every year. It's kind of a recurring thing. It's just a bigger thing. They roll around every year, and you can take a hard look at them. You can even get your current insurance agent to shop for you if you have a good one. I work with a number of insurance companies, particularly the independent ones have multiple lines. They can shop it for you and figure out if there's a better way to get, and sometimes get better coverage with less expense. So insurance is a good area to look at. Offices and rent. Do you actually need an office anymore? The pandemic showed us that a lot of things can be done remotely. Do you need some kind of smaller space? Do you need something like that? If you're on your own building, obviously, you can do things like, if you don't need all that space, you can rent out part of your office and offset, and will help your margins. So there's a lot of things that you can do around that. Now, there are a number, like I said, there's 62 more strategies, and not all of these are going to apply to everybody, but these are 5 of my top margin strategies. So I'm going to review them again. Number 1, increase your prices. Number 2, stop discounting. And if you're the owner, you're probably the worst one. Take yourself out of the ability to discount. Number 3, sack your C and D grade clients. Put all your energy into your A and B. Watch your business grow. Number 4, measure everything. You're going to increase your margins. If you don't know where you are, you can't improve it. So you've got to know where you are. It's okay where you are. Just work on improving those things. And number 5, take a hard look at your expenses a couple of times a year. Go through them. Look particularly at the big ones. You can also look at your personnel expenses as well. If they're all are they producing at the level they need? Are they in the right seat in the right bus? In addition to insurance, office rent, and your recurring billings. So if you want more ideas, if you want to look at it, I'm super pumped. This is going to be an amazing week. Make sure that you watch all these videos. You're going to get 25 ways, because it's 5 ways in 5 days, which means we're going to go through 5 times 5. We're going to give you 25, and we're going to give you a bonus one on average dollar sale, I think, is where I'm going to go with that on Wednesday, to get you 6 more strategies. So you're going to have 26 strategies
that you can put in your business. So your homework or your home fund is to take one of these and start applying it today. Step 1, start today on either increased pricing, stop discounting, sacking your C's and D's, measuring everything, cut expenses by 10%. I don't care what it is. Pick one that works for you. Get started. You'll make more money. You'll be happier. You'll be in a position to reinvest and make a difference in our community, in our world. So I'm looking for you. We'll see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern. Until then, all the best.